that says that.
Stealing my line, Stuart. I know it's been a while, but really.
Good to see you all again.
Yes, nice to be seen.
Yes.
And we're back to talk about the sewing bee.
Yes, indeed. It's back on television. And it would have been nice to have been in the shop, but actually, with the current thing going on, with the wonders of technology, we're all here to talk about episode 1 and hopefully for the next 10 episodes. If we can keep meeting up like this, it will be good, won't it? To talk about the episode, because actually the videos that we did last year, would you believe, are our most popular videos?
And well, it is a good show, and everybody loves a good chat. Let's be real. So,
and everyone likes to hear everyone else's opinions as well, don't they?
Definitely.
We all have them.
So it's good to have the program back. What do we think about having 12 sewers, 2 more?
I'm dead pleased, actually, because it shows more of a variety. We've got quite a few, there's a good selection of types of sewers. So I think I'm pleased because it gives us more people to talk about, let's be honest. So
well, it does, but as a teacher, trying to learn kids' names is hard enough, so I don't need an extra couple of sewers' names.
Well, that's okay.
Handy little prompt sheet.
Yeah, I have mine up on my phone beside
Look at you girly swat.
So it's good to have Patrick and Esme back, and Joe. What did you think of Joe?
Oh, he's funny as always. On a side note, though, I loved Esme's necklaces. I'm always a fan of her big steel necklaces. They're quite awesome. But
he is very funny. I was watching his other show on Channel 4 as well. And it's just the way he presents himself and everything around him.
Yes, indeed. And it's such a light, simple programme, really, isn't it? It's a bit like those elements that work with Bake Off, isn't it? It's not, I mean, it's obviously pressured, but it's not like MasterChef. You know how that's edited and cut and how the presenters really ramp up the tension. It's still quite chilled and his sort of laid back sort of delivery.
He did have his own moment of tension at the end, which we can discuss in a bit during one of the challenges. Oh my good gravy. But yeah.
So 12 sewers, 4 blokes, was that right?
I think so.
2, 3, rest ladies. An initial, Anya, first of all, your opinions of them, just seeing them, just from that first programme.
I love them all. I immediately want to, I loved Mark's style, the way he makes things. I quite enjoy Peter's stuff. Alex, I'm not sold on how he makes things. But overall, I really enjoyed, there's a really good mix of different styles, which is just really nice. Aside from it just being blokes and women, there's generally just a really nice mix of styles. We've got some vintagey, we've got something quite funky, we've got some old school in there. It's really nice. I think it's really good.
Ting, what about you and your first thoughts of seeing them, your first impressions?
I think you're right in that there's a lot of different styles there, which is nice because you don't want them all banging out exactly the same thing. They've all got their little spin on it. The only thing I felt, even though we had more sewers, is there was no one who jumped straight out at me. Like last year, Ricardo came in with his big floral prints and, there was a couple of people in those first episodes where we were just like, oh yeah, they're probably going to win, or they're everyone else was good, don't get me wrong, but there was no one that really stood out in that first episode. And that could have been the editing, because there was more people there, they were skitting around trying to get to everyone, but I didn't feel there was anyone who really stood out, perhaps like we had last year.
Yeah.
No, it makes me think it might be more of a competition, more close maybe because of that.
I think they did try and do that with Peter, the guy with the face prints and his big prints and boldness. Yeah. But as you say, so many people, there was lots of skirting about to try and get everybody in. Okay,
right. Well, let's go into the first round then, which is the good old classic pattern challenge round. And it was, the idea of today's episode was, what did they say? Comfortable and familiar, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was Wardrobe Staples, the name of the show.
So they came out with a wrap skirt. Now, first of all, I would like to just say, everyone, we are no professional sewers, are we? We do it for a hobby, and it's something that we like. I'm very, very new to it. Very limited dressmaking.
He made his first wrap skirt. He doesn't wear it very often. But,
but from my limited knowledge, the wrap skirt looked like an easy, nice, simple pattern to start off with, don't we think?
I think so. It seems, well, it's possibly deceivingly easy in that you still have to make sure you get your buttons done right. You've got that, what is the word of the week thing?
Oh, the word of the week. I've got my word of the week here.
The Rolo.
The Rouleau loop.
I can call it a Rolo, and I'm just thinking about the chocolate now. But yeah, those little loops on the dress, and there's wee details that you have to get right, and it has to wrap the right way, and all that kind of good stuff. So easy.
It was that, but I thought that the trouble with it is it was too easy, because when it came to the judging, they went through and it was like, I like that, I like that, I like that, I like that. You chose the wrong fabric and that didn't quite work. And it was like, oh, okay, that's over.
Yeah.
Whereas when they've had more complicated ones, it's kind of sorted the wheat from the chaff straight away.
Indeed, because I suppose the only thing they could really pick up on was how it laid, the front laid with the hem, whether it stretched or not, like some of them had on the stretchy fabrics, or like who was it? Peter, the bit of blood on there, just from that accident. There didn't seem too many things they could pick them up on.
Yeah, and they picked up on, was it Angelina's mismatched buttons and the puckering with the metallic.
But the only real scandal in that one, which you knew straight away, was Nicole choosing the stretchy fabric. So you had the judges standing there going, well, the one thing you never do is choose stretchy fabric. And cut to Nicole going, look at this! And you kind of knew that was it for her. And everyone else did kind of okay.
I like to wrap the wrong way around as well.
But then you just move the button and it suddenly works.
Indeed. What was it? Because Peter won that with the fabric.
Yeah.
What was it so special about that? Was it, you think they just loved the choice of fabric?
I think it was the fabric, because I actually made on my notes that I didn't like the fabric. I'm not a faces person on fabric. I don't mind shapes and patterns, but faces and things, that doesn't do anything for me. But I think he also chose like a cottony type one, which you knew you were going to get a crisp crease on, so that when you ironed that on and you attached the waistband, it was all very neat and tidy.
Yeah, I think he just made all the right decisions. Good fabric choice, finished it off really nicely, and it was just almost like 100%. It was the most spot on out of all of them. But yeah, I think I wasn't a fan of his. I wouldn't have put that on a skirt myself, but clearly he got the right weight of fabric, which you have to be aware of when you're making these things. That's the one thing they were looking out for, basically being able to know which fabric.
Yeah. Indeed, yes, because two of them had chosen that nice denim-y fabric with the embroidery on, didn't they?
Yeah. That was Therese and Fiona. They chose the same fabric, didn't they?
Yeah. And that
I wasn't a big fan of that fabric. I kind of like it, but also didn't like it at all. There was something about it. But
what did you make of Hazel in that round? Because they did cut to her a couple of times, and she just said, "Oh, I'm just going to kind of wing it and see how it goes." But I quite liked her fabric. I didn't know whether they were setting up her for a fail.
Well, they said there was something wrong with her waistband, didn't they?
Yeah, she didn't get the skirt all the way to the edge of the waistband, so her skirt didn't go, so the waistband was here, and she came to here. The skirt came to here. So didn't do that right.
Perhaps a little insight into her workings, and the same with Alex, because he said, right, I'm just going to speed on through. I'm not too worried about being too straight. I'm just going to cut. Do you think that came back and bit him on the bum?
Yes, and I think that seems to be his style, because you could see that as the challenges progressed. He just bears on with it. He doesn't really think about what he's doing.
but that surprised me with him because he was the one who said he helps make all the ballroom costumes with his dancing and everything like that. And they have to hold up being slung around the floor. And I would have just thought he would have spent a little bit more time on that construction.
Not necessarily, because in dance costumes, in that particular, they may only wear those costumes at competition, or, you know, they don't have to be long lasting. So
No, but they're not throwaway items either, are they? You don't want to be whipping across the floor and all your feather boas come flying off.
No, we don't want to chuck you across the floor and losing feathers. That would not be my forward thing. But yeah, you know, that's true enough. They do have to be well constructed. But yeah, I don't know. That just seems to be the way he works. Maybe
he is young.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do we think?
The costumes so many times in the past, he can just go through them at this point. So
yeah.
Now, those whole rouleau loop things, I mean, I've had experience of making loops. And
ties.
And it is hard trying to pull it through. I mean, because their loops, I mean, they were thin, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, that's the point of a rouleau loop, yes.
Yeah.
I think everybody is always going to remember your attempt. We'll leave a link somewhere on the screen. Repeatedly loses cool as he pulls them out.
But I suppose that's a bog standard skill. I mean, I even made that on an apron. I suppose that's a bog standard skill that you should be able to do if you're a sewer, dressmaker.
Well, your apron one was a 2.5 inch strip. The whole point with these is these are tiny because they are the little button loops that you'll see, you know, on corsets and dresses and things like that.
Half an inch or so, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're also tiny. They're also shorter. Yours was quite long by comparison. So the roller loops they're doing are, you know, the material length isn't going to be as long as well. So there's less likelihood of losing your mind while you're pulling it through.
So we know from that round that Matt won with his faces. Would you have put someone else as the...
Peter had the faces.
Peter, sorry. Yes. Yes, Peter had the faces. So would you have had anyone else as the top? Or did you agree, Ting?
I think I put a note that I liked, although I didn't like the material, I thought Therese, her finished garment, I thought was finished off really nicely. So
well, I've got a selection of statements written down here.
Yeah.
I've got stretch, good, looked ropey, buttons were wrong. I've got likes next to Mark.
Yeah.
I liked his. And unfortunately for Nicole, I did just write a hot mess next to it.
Yeah, it was awkward and everything.
What did you think of her response when she got her judges' feedback? Was it a bit...
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I
thought that's what was going to send her home.
Indeed.
But maybe they couldn't send her home because she told them off. So, but no, she definitely... But I think as well, she just went in the defensive, and then after that, she said that she needed to rein herself in a wee bit.
Yeah.
Your adrenaline's going to be up. You're going to be overexcited, and maybe that's just what that was.
So you think with Peter at the top and then Nicole, who then came bottom on that one, you agree, but really then, both of you?
No, I would have put Alex at the bottom. I think,
really?
Yeah. I just wasn't... No.
He's just wrapped the wrong way. She made a fundamental error choosing that stretch fabric. And you wouldn't have worn that gold lame out as to work in that sort of skirt.
It would be a great first student night out in the rip, out dancing. I don't know, I didn't think his was particularly well done, or there was just, I don't know.
You could argue least Nicole had the dress, Alex had fundamentally got it wrong.
Yeah, she had got the structure right, and, you know, aside from a bit of puckering in the material. Okay, but he right material and he still made a hash of it, and it's like, So there you go.
But all he had to do was sew the button on the other side, and then the glory with the wrap skirt is it goes the other way.
Yeah, and I'd say hers might have been fine if she hadn't just pulled that wee bit when she was going through that thing. So you never know. If she had finished that off completely, it would have just, you know.
No, they were never going to let her get away with using stretch fabric.
No, but if she had pulled it off, it would have been immense. Yeah. You know what I mean?
She never would have done with that fabric.
We don't know.
No, because you can't get a crisp. You can't iron it tight like you can with cotton. You can't get that crisp crease that they wanted on the waistband and around the edge, which is why it puckered.
Yeah.
And
Got
ultimately,
elastic in the fabric.
and I suppose ultimately that's why the judges say that at the beginning, as a sort of a what do you call it, a direction for us to go on what they're going to be judged on.
Well, that's how I judge the thing, because I've written on my notes when they first announced it, they said this is all about the buttons, the loops, and the fabric weight is key. So I wrote that down. So that's what I focused on when I looked at the.
All right, let's move on to the transformation challenge. The idea of turning something old into new, and again, like my apron tutorial.
You must have broke out in a cold sweat when you saw two old men's shirts.
They have to change it into a simple women's garment. What do
I didn't see the aprons.
No.
I thought I would have been if somebody had done an apron, they would have been chucked off. It's like, no, that was a hard no.
So, I mean, Esme said she was looking for a total radical transformation. What do we think that as a challenge anyway? Exciting to do?
I don't know if exciting is necessary. Well, it just shows whether you have the imagination to come up with something very different.
I think we got half and half, because there were some really inventive, fun outfits that Esme absolutely loved, and then there was equally the other half of the room who just went, "It's a shirt. I don't know what I'm going to do with that."
Yeah.
Put some feathers on the bottom and make a dress. Skirt,
yeah, the one with the feathers. Who did the one with the feathers? That was not.
The one with the feathers
her again, wasn't
Fiona.
it? Wasn't it Nicole again?
No, she did the one with the dangly.
Yeah,
oh, she went to the haberdashery and threw herself in there, didn't she?
The rick-rack on there, and
I actually really enjoyed hers though.
It did work. It did work using that. No, Fiona put the feathers at the bottom. She had that sort of little thing.
I did not like that. I did not appreciate that.
So they have, obviously, is it 90 minutes for this challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. Not a whole day like you took to make an apron.
So anyone there that stood out, you thought, oh, that's a clever idea, or that's creative idea? Anyone stood out for you, Ting, in that challenge?
What I liked was there was 2 or 3 of them. Matt was one of them, where they made use of the colours of the shirt. So you actually got the panels were designed to have those colours as well as the overall feel, and I think that helped with some of them. But I don't like these transformation ones because you're stuck with what you've got there. So it's really hard sometimes, I think. And we saw that with some of these people, just not being able to, look at it and come up with something else.
Yeah, it's a very different skill, isn't it?
Yeah. But I did love Hazel's little fork pleats, always looking for a new little tip.
Yeah.
That was clever. And I thought that was another one I wasn't... Oh, I don't know. I just maybe did not take to Alex because I didn't appreciate. He did pleats as well, and they just.
But he put his zip in back to front, didn't he?
See, that's the details again.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just and I wasn't impressed with his pleats. Like,
No, I suppose maybe that inexperience was beginning to show in this round as well, because you obviously got only 90 minutes, haven't you? But then this is where I'm always a bit dubious about time, what they create in that time, because then you look at Liz's, who did that corset with many pattern pieces in there.
Yeah.
But it was like that big. Everyone else had a full outfit.
Not necessarily, no, because of course it would be just a top you wear by itself anyway. You'd wear it over a shirt.
Yeah, I know, but I just felt that she'd picked a couple of strips of fabric out of the shirts and kind of done that, and then you had other people who made full
But the
dresses.
panel isn't necessarily easy to do because you have too narrow, you have the panels at the front and then they have to adjust. Each panel is different.
Yeah, all right, so you love her, okay.
No, but it showed some skill and it showed the attention to detail.
Yeah.
So at this point, we've really, we've just sort of from the first round got Alex and maybe Nicole, who are lower. What do we feel about Angelia in this round? Do we get a sense of her maybe laid backness too much coming through?
I don't know if it's laid back or lack of imagination or, know, something she's not done.
I felt sorry for her to a certain degree because a bit like me. If you just chucked 2 shirts at me, I wouldn't know what to do. And she's clearly a good sewer, but she makes clothes and does whatever she does from patterns and all of that. And, you know, she just can't do that sort of thing. So she looked at it and ended up just taking the sleeves off and putting a bit of frou-frou up here, and that was it. But she wasn't comfortable with that type of challenge.
It's not her strong point. But it was the same with one of the other ladies. I think it was it Therese who did a top with a bit of binding.
Yeah.
That was almost the same thing. It was.
I just wrote boring next.
Yeah, a simple sleeveless tunic, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I feel bad. Should we mention per Mark, he did his nice dress and then
with the Lysit vent.
Oh. You see Lysit's face where he just went, oh no.
Yeah.
But they are supposed to fit the mannequins. They have the mannequins there. You know, he should have had something in the back, a zip or a button that you would.
Yeah, because he did
that.
it down far enough for it to go over the hips properly, basically.
No. And the other problem is he'd sewn it round and it hadn't met. So the weakest point was where it ripped because everything else was reinforced from where he'd sewn the other shirt onto it.
Yeah. So
what about
what did was highlight the problem.
Yeah.
What about Peter's cool zip? When you saw that, I just went, yeah, that's great. So clever.
Yeah, all his was draping, and you know, I thought it was really good fun, but I was kind of a bit. I don't know if I loved it. I was impressed with it.
No, yeah.
I think it appealed to Esme, didn't it? Because the front of it was all knotted and tied like that, and she did that in the trail before when they were having their little chat.
Yeah, but also there was a trend years ago, and I don't know if it was the same for men, but it was to take a shirt and turn it into a top by tying it around you. And it looks like you've tied a shirt around you. And that's what I see. When I seen his, I went, oh, so that's a trend that came back where people are just taking the sleeves and tying it on, and ta-da! It's a whole new top. You know,
the only thing,
put your cardigan on backwards and it's something different. It's
the only thing that saved him was that big zip because it was functional. Because you could not put that on without opening that zip. But once you put the zip up as well, that big chunky zip just made the back of that look.
Didn't it? Yeah.
I think they just lost their minds that they had somebody who does draping, and oh my god, isn't it fabulous? I think that's what they seen and they got really excited.
And that's why he won, wasn't it?
Did you have anyone that you thought was your winner where you went, oh, I love that, regardless of what the judges said in that round? Did you go, oh yeah, they should have? In my opinion, I thought that was great. Did you not get any like that?
No, I didn't. That was the problem.
No, not for this particular round. It was all a bit, but it's very rare to have that. I think like last year, we didn't have loads of those in those particular rounds. You know, there was some, but not loads in the transformation challenge because it's one of those challenges where it's like, okay, that's not bad. Well done for making something out of something.
So we had Matt coming first. And then Nicole.
No, Peter came first.
Oh, Peter. I can get those two muddled up. I've even written it down as well.
Peter's the one with the chains.
Peter was the one with the zip.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nicole, though, second with her rickrack. So she really redeemed herself from the first round.
I don't think she deserved that, to be honest, but there you go.
Because she went to the effort of going, well, what else can I do to make this completely rather than I'm just going to use the material in front of my face, because very few of them used embellishments, you know, apart from feathers.
I think, and that's going to be Nicole's little thing, I think. She obviously likes sparkle and glamour, but I do think accessories added on is going to be perhaps one of her features as we watch her progress.
Protection by Stuart.
And then Angelia obviously was rock bottom in that round.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she cut the sleeves off and that was about it.
So we then go into the made to measure with some sort of an awareness of who we think are struggling. So who was that for you, Anya? Who did you go in thinking, right, we're probably going to lose?
I was convinced Alex was going out. Alex and Angela. I was like, oh, okay.
Were your bottom two?
Yeah.
Tim,
neither
what about you?
stood out for me.
I think I think it's hard with this round because they know this one's coming. So you, a bit like on the Bake Off with their showstopper stuff, you would assume that they have made this at home. Okay, not to fit the model that's at the sewing bee, but you would assume that they have had a go at this at home. So you would hope that even though we've thought, oh yeah, these other ones have struggled with these other tasks, that there was a bit of practice gone in here and that they would be able to pull it off, so to speak. But the trouble was is Alex and Angela, and not so much Nicole, but you know, they were struggling in this like they had in the other rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice round, wasn't it? The made to measure, the idea of the tea dress, that 1940s style.
Yeah.
What did you think of that as a pattern?
I loved it. I am a fan of tea dresses, but you haven't told us who you thought was struggling going into the third round.
Yeah.
It was definitely in my mind. It was Alex. There was a bottom two. It was Alex or Angelia, but I thought Alex was probably going to be the one, and even more so when I saw him use the double gauze for the tea dress. I thought, well, that's him gone, and he didn't finish it, did he?
And also on the.
Yeah, he had what do they call it?
Cold shoulder.
What they call it? The open shoulder. There's a certain
cold shoulder.
What did they call it?
Cold shoulder.
Oh, cold shoulder. That's it. I thought you said open. My sound's not very good here. No wonder. Yeah, cold. And when he obviously he tried to cover up. Well, unless he did intend it to have that.
No, he didn't.
Rough finish.
No,
but
I like the way Esme was like, "No, I'm not having this. Thank you."
But he didn't finish, and neither did Angelia. So it was obviously always going to be between the two anyway, because they just didn't finish. And they always say, you know, we just didn't finish it. It's got to be the worst thing, hasn't it? Didn't finish it.
Yeah, massively so, and especially. This is where I was a bit torn, because obviously if you've watched it by now, you know that Angelia didn't quite make it. But this is where I was torn at this point, because she clearly has more skill, I think, and was better able with detail than he was.
Yes, but, sorry. You see, I wrote down on my notes, because again, at the beginning, it's all got to be below the knee and above the ankle, and the key is all in the fitting. And Angela's didn't fit. Alex had stretched his fabric, but it did fit in places better than hers.
Ill-fitting. And I know the style of the dress he was going for. It was like, it's going for that sort of almost a flapper style. And it didn't sit right at all. Even without the stretched fabric, it was like, oh, that doesn't look right.
This is where I said, was there anything in round 2 for Angelia where she was quite laid back and, oh, it might happen or it may not? Did they perhaps judges use that as well to perhaps think, well, therefore is she more deserving of going and keeping Alex?
But was it that she was laid back, or that she just, I know people who panic and they just shut down. They're like, I have no ideas. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this thing and hope for the best. And I don't know what I'm going to do about it. Because I've seen people who go into exams, for example. I've done it myself. You completely blank. You shut down. You're like, okay, it's not. High pressure situations and things like that. I don't know if it was her being laid back or more, I've no idea what I'm going to do and I'm just kind of done and I'm freaking out.
It's because hers didn't fit.
Huh?
It's because hers didn't fit.
Well...
So,
I thought it wasn't too bad because it had a nice curve to it. If she had got to finish it, it would have been fine.
Well, and that was it. It wasn't finished and it didn't fit.
It still looked awful. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
what ones did you like though? Were there any there where you just thought, wow, that was brilliant?
I wanted Mark's. Oh my god, it was stunning. It had the beautiful sleeves and the way it swooped and the volume.
Oh, they were the bell sleeves, weren't they? Yeah.
It reminded me something from a good old MGM film, and they're just swishing along. And the way the skirt was weighted, it worked. And I don't know, it just looked beautiful. Because when I seen his pattern originally, I thought, oh no, that is going to be horrendous. But he chose really good material, so the pattern showed really nicely, and it was just done.
Oh, was that nice tropical? Yeah.
Beautiful.
Ting, what about you?
I mean, I had 4 that I'd written down that I liked. I liked Matt's just generally, but it was also a really good fit. He had gone in and managed to fit that to his model really well. We haven't really mentioned her, but I didn't like the fabric colour, but I liked Ali's handkerchief corners on her dress.
Oh,
I just thought that added that little bit of extra detail on the bottom. I wasn't too keen on that grey kind of fabric, but I liked the pattern. Claire's colour, which I can't remember what colour that was now. I think.
Oh yeah, that was the pant centered in.
It was the panel with the cerise. Yeah, that was. I just loved that, and I liked Mark's fabric. Got along with the bell sleeves and everything. Those were the 4 that really kind of stuck out for me. I've got a whole list on the other side of everything I listed I didn't like, but
go on. Yeah.
I liked Peter's style, and I think it would have worked well. It did remind me, you could tell he lives in Brighton. I don't know why, I just immediately went, yeah, you'd see that in Brighton, not a problem. Having lived there for so long, it's like, yeah, not a problem. But I love the style of it. If he had finished that off and if he'd measured it right and got the back right, I think that would have been really good, because I really love that neck.
I liked the pattern, but I thought that, and the fact I didn't dislike the fabric, but I didn't think it was suited to a tea dress. I just didn't think it works. It was too big a pattern on there, really.
Very true.
What ones did you like? Were like, oh God, no, oh. Did you do any of that?
Anyone else's was on the other list for me.
Well, tell us a couple off your other list then.
I was going to say, the more I've sat here defending Angelia, I didn't like her dress overall. I wouldn't.
No, so that's why she went home.
What, her last one? The made to measure.
For Alex, I just wrote no. So
I've just put Alex's is not working.
Yeah.
I didn't like Fiona's frill.
Yeah, she didn't get to finish either, did she?
No.
Liz, I was in 2 minds with Liz, because that just made me. It was really 90s.
Yes, it was odd.
90s. I remember seeing that in loads of student places where people are going around with their docks on and they've got the long.
And she did comment on that, how that had made a resurgence in the 90s. So she clearly went down that route, wanted that.
Yeah.
I just wrote 90s grunge, and I don't know if that was quite what we were going for. I thought we were going for more 40s tea dress.
Yeah.
Yes, they said they wanted it still to be quite chic, didn't they? You see, that's the whole point of it. And I don't think it had that, really.
No, but she'd got the styling right for what she wanted. It's just whether that was what was wanted for this challenge.
Yeah. I wrote down, I liked Nicole's, and I thought it moved.
Was lovely.
Yeah.
I just wrote okay.
I just came round.
Yeah. That move, I was really surprised that the tassels worked so well on that. You know, because she had the tassel-y bits on.
Yeah. I mean, those nice, it was just that, lovely.
I was the same as Esme. I was like, oh no, what are you doing? But then when you seen it finished, it immediately made me think of enjoying a cocktail on the beach, or, you know.
Yeah.
Having a nice time. And Tria's did well. She lined hers.
Yeah.
Well, that's just showing off, isn't it?
She's clearly going to be one that goes a long way, isn't she?
Yeah, she's going to be one that we're suddenly going to see a lot more of, I think, as we progress, because she clearly has the detail and
the skill. I mean, that floral fabric and doing the lining just says it all, doesn't it?
But, so I mean, she was skilled to do that lining, but then you have to say to yourself, was the dress too easy to make if she had enough time to do the lining and the dress? Because nobody else managed to do that.
That's true, but maybe the dress as a whole includes the lining. Does that not count as part of the dress? Because you wouldn't have that dress without the lining?
No, you wouldn't. But what I'm saying is that the cut and the sewing of that dress must have been easier than perhaps what some of the others were doing. Because she, in effect, made 2 dresses, the lining and the outside, in the same amount of time. Everyone else was doing one.
Yes, because when you compare it to Angelia's and all those pleats, you know, there was a lot more work there. So...
Yeah, but it depends. I view it as one whole dress, including the lining. So that was all of her work, whereas some spent their time doing pleats and different details. So her finished dress was still beautiful.
Oh, it was. You couldn't argue that. It was beautiful.
The lining really helped that. It just made it look really nice.
So I'm just making sure I get this right. So Matt was the garment of the week there.
Well, you got one right, yes.
With that, did you have a different garment of the week on your own team?
Mine was Mark's.
You did agree with that. You agreed with the judges.
No, I wanted Mark's, not Matt's.
Oh, Matt. Yeah.
What about you? We've told you all about who we have loved. You haven't. What's who you loved?
What was your garment of the week then, Ting?
Well, I liked Matt's, but I don't know if I liked it enough.
Yeah.
But the cut and everything was there. But again, like I said, nothing really stood out this week for me.
Mark's.
I think I'm going down the route of Nicole's.
Oh no!
The final one, because I just like that tropical and the little frills, and I'm not normally one for frills.
Yeah, same.
But
it was.
And the design of that going around the neck and down, just thought was really, really clever. So I think I might have gone with that. I understand why they liked Matt's. It was that little Peter Pan collar. It was just
that pleat in the front and those darts. You know, the detail on his was very well finished off.
Now, Matt, if I've got my notes right, Matt is the one that does the dressmaking for drag queens, isn't he?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's clearly got a lot of. Has he got a lot of both skills of the improvisation and adapting, like needed for the transformation challenge, and general dressmaking skills as well? So is he going to be a good contender for the whole series?
I think so. He's definitely going to be one to watch. I think they've sort of downplayed it this week.
Very much. Yeah.
Haven't made it too obvious, but I think he's definitely going to be one to watch.
He's going to be able to make things fit. And probably fit quite tightly, because if you think about some of the outfits drag queens will have, they're very form-fitting to show off, padded areas and different things. So he'll be very good at keeping that cut, and he'll have that skill over some of those men, well, definitely the other men, but also some of the women who perhaps don't make clothes for other people. That's where he's going to come off. In the past, they've had people on there and they're like, oh, I make my own shirts, my own dresses and everything like that, which is fine. But when you've got to make it for someone else, that is a slightly different skill. And he's going to be used to, moulding it around someone else more than himself.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. He'll have added that experience dealing with different body types.
Yeah.
So I think you're very much right. It's the same as if you're talking to a makeup artist. They're a makeup artist because they practice on other people's faces, not just because they do their own face. Do you know what I mean? So it's very much to do with being able to fit to other people. But I think there's definitely a few that are going to be interesting to watch. I quite liked Claire's, so that was the vintagey one, but it didn't. I like her general style. I love a bit of vintage.
Yeah.
I love her general style.
I called her Mary Poppins.
Her final dress, though, I kind of expected more. I was a wee bit.
Now, I liked her final dress, and I just think she was overlooked a bit because there were a couple of other characters there who had stumbled along the way. She'd kind of just kept things ticking over and didn't really stand out. But I think her colour choices and the pattern, and she's used to the 1940s stuff. She got that looking good.
Spot on. And so she's probably one to go far as well.
Yeah, I think, though, maybe it was for me. I didn't appreciate her colour choices. It made it look really dowdy, or not, it's like, oh, you've just really flattened that. So
for a first episode, meeting the sewers, what do we think then?
I think it's a double-edged sword, because I really wanted it to come back and I really wanted to see it all, but because there were so many sewers, I was a bit kind of bamboozled trying to keep on top of who everyone is and what they were doing, and I felt we didn't get to see enough of everyone, which is why I think I'm complaining no one really stood out. Well, they were whipping around that sewing room trying to get everyone on film, and if there was 2 or 3 less sewers, that would be fine. But if there was 2 or 3 less sewers, that would be 2 or 3 less weeks. So I'm kind of torn.
We're getting more sewing bees, so I am pleased about it. Well, what about you? Have you somebody that stood out? Did you find?
It's the old classics. I think Therese stood out as a potential, but from the actual episode, they focused on perhaps 4 or 5, didn't they? You had Nicole, you had Alex. They were clearly the focus of that episode.
Yeah.
So I think Nicole is one to see how far she goes, because she seems to be the bold one that will like playing around with colours. And then obviously the gents, seeing how far they all go, because they've clearly got some great skills there, haven't they?
Do we want to make where predictions are? I think Mark is going to surprise us. I think he's going to sneak out and be kind of awesome.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. I didn't have that feeling as such. But then you've got to remember it's the way they edit it, don't you? So
yeah, I think Matt is going to be one to watch.
Yeah.
From the men, and I don't think we've seen the woman yet. I think that they didn't focus enough on Ali, Therese,
Ali,
Fiona, and all of that. There was a few that slipped around in that background, and I think there's some good stars there.
Yeah, another episode. I think next week they'll probably tune in another 6, won't they? And we'll get an idea.
My prediction's going to change every week, but
yours did anyway.
But I'm excited. I'm really pleased it's back, and I think it's going really nicely. I'm very excited.
So do you want to just say one person now that you think, or?
Just my favourite this week was Mark, so I'm going to be interested to see how he progresses.
What about you? You keep forcing our hands.
Oh, the cheat.
As I said, I think Therese or Nicole. I think they actually might go fair way.
Nicole's not going to hold on.
It seems the way they kept focusing on Peter. I think it seems too good for him to go all the way. But I'd like
Nicole will be like that one last year. I can't remember who it was, but don't you remember there was that blonde woman who, right from like episode 3, I kept going, "Oh, she's going home," and she made it all the way to the final, didn't she?
Yeah.
That'll be me and Nicole this year.
Well, you have to have one nemesis thing. Come on.
Yeah.
But you have to pick one. Who was your favourite this week?
Who, me?
Yes.
I've already said I liked Matt.
Oh, Matt's your favourite. Okay.
I like Matt this week. I don't know if he'll. I think he'll go far as well.
Yeah. Okay. We've all got our favourites. I'm just now looking forward to next Wednesday.
I know. It's going to be good, isn't it? Going to be good. Holidays. Towels. That's what they're doing next week.
Oh, I just thought you were going to tell us we're going on holidays.
No.
Do you know something about the lockdown we don't?
No, it's all about holiday. This is the theme, tropical, and I think the transformation challenge is the use of towels. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I can make myself a nice turban.
Which is on there, be fabulous.
Well, it's been great chatting. Enjoy watching next week. Hope you enjoyed listening to our spiels and ideas on who we liked and who you didn't perhaps like, and what dresses you thought worked and what didn't. It'd be interesting to hear what you say in the comments below, won't it, Anya?
Yes, and Tim.
Yes.
Yeah. Whether you agreed with what our panel there, Anya and Ting down there, says. It's great, and that's the whole point about these sort of review programs, isn't it? Is to get engaged, hear what you liked and hear what you didn't like, and hear who your favourites are, and let's see if our favourites develop and grow through the program.
Yes, it's going to be awesome. That's it. Next week then.
Yeah. See you next episode then.
What is it? Goodbye from me and goodbye from him.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from
me. See you all.
Bye.